All right, greetings, Earthlings. This is Star Command. We are Primal Sutra with the Primal Sutra Nexus. I'm known as Uncle Makara, which is the Hindu sea monster. Okay, the energy associated with Varuna, with Kamadeva, with Ma Ganga, but also is very symbolic of being a gatekeeper of the threshold of this realm into the spiritual realms. Okay, so I help to protect the flow state wisdom, the transformation wisdom, and the teachings that get someone from fear into flow again. And this is the whole hypnosis that we're all under, right? We're all under this mass hypnosis that's telling us fear is the only way. Fear is not the only way. It never has been. Fear is false evidence appearing real. We already know this, okay? But it is from the understanding that I'm going to go from fear into flow, is the start of your own spiritual process, your own spiritual journey. Okay. So without further ado, let me just share this with the tribe. All right. All right. Should be working now. Let me just change some settings around as well on this so more people can view it, more people can comment. Yo, yo. Thank you for the like. All right. All right, cool. So today we're talking about spiritual theater, okay? Now, what in the world is spiritual theater? And how are you going to tap into the energy of your spirit guides by understanding that you're rehearsing with them? Okay. So I want to start off with a little bit of a segue. I watched a different video last night, and it really woke me back into my original understanding for when I wrote my thesis paper on authenticity versus role play, and the whole understanding of you can just like fake your confidence, right? Act it till you fact it, fake it till you make it. You can make weird, silly noises that get you into a pocket of flow that shuts off your egoic mind identity, right? Rapidly, rapidly. And this is what we do on this channel, in this path working. Join the Telegram group. You guys already know we are peak performance shamans, okay? So we understand this through a flow state lens. And that's how we want to really look at this thing, okay? Spiritual guidance in that way. So he who swaggers wins, right? He who's got the vibe, she who's got the vibe, who is him or her auto wins in this game called life. Because he who is tapped in or she who is tapped in reaches the finish line. Not he who earned it, not he who trained for it, but one who embodies the vibes like God himself whispered go into his bones. The one who understands that they are infinity experiencing childlike joy and they're unshackled by any old programming, right? Then they have something called an autotelic, automatic delusional confidence. Autotelic means it doesn't have a reward in itself. That's what the flow state is, right? I'm playing the guitar just because. I'm confident just because. I'm charismatic just because. There's no reason for it, right? The moment you have a reason, then it creates a limit. The moment you try to justify why you're doing what you're doing, you miss out on the flow state essence of this thing. Are we getting this? So we have got to outperform, outshine, and outrun the person who can access their inner baseline or inner zone. They're in touch with their own dominant chakra path working. They understand that there's a specific code. Like, comment, and subscribe, like your book TPM. Absolutely. Was just watching the Sun Wukong recording. Fire. Fire, bro. Hey there, love. All right. So this is it, right? This is the code that we're getting. So we're creating our own criteria and letting others who resonate match that criteria. Isn't that what effortless leadership then becomes, right? Fake it till you make it sounds a bit inauthentic, but let me tell you this, guys. Authenticity has never been about truth. It's always been about congruence. And guess what? The man or woman who believes their own lie long enough transmutes it into reality, right? So take a dude, a regular dude, right? And let's say he feels like a god, right? Let's say he feels like a god, even when he's broke, even when his startup didn't work, even when he's got mom's Wi-Fi and Cheeto dust on his hoodie, he still outshines the dude who earned his stripes but can't make eye contact in the mirror, right? The delusional one dances and the competent one calculates. This is what the Nexus is telling me. So the energy now moves towards movement. Why does this work, guys? Why does fake confidence override the real confidence? What's going on here, really? Most humans are perception junkies. We crave symbols over substance, flash over foundation, swagger over spreadsheets. And in the realms of spiritual and social dynamics, confidence is not earned, it is transferred. Don't we sometimes feel confident by proxy being next to somebody? Have you ever felt that? Like, hey, man, their confidence is rubbing off on me. So if you can convince your nervous system that you are him, everybody will feel it. Not because it's real, but because it's radiant, right? We know that one rapper who has zero net worth, but infinite self-worth, right? And people will flock to that energy more than, the shy billionaire who's like really struggling to make a social connection and doesn't understand how to do the fist bump correctly, right? The delusional TikTok prophet preaching vibe will outpull the six-pack monk quoting the Bhagavad Gita. Why is this like this? Why are we in this society like this? What's really going on, right? And we're not born to fit into a frame either. That's why we're savage shamans on this channel, right? You were born to build your own. That's why. You were born to build your own frame, your own worldview, your own reality. Then bless others by letting them live in it for rent, in exposure, with no security deposit. So if you're still crying over being fake while the fake ones are out here feasting, then we got to snap out of it. God is not checking your resume, he's checking your voltage. So get that spine straight, get that character right, that laugh louder, right? That walk swinging, like you command the elements when you walk, right? And you enter the party like you wrote the damn party's simulation code. Because you did. You just forgot that you did, right? Man, we're starting to become in Primal Sutra the destroyers of groupthink, right? We're teaching people to think for themselves, which is dangerous. That's why we are dangerous. And that's why we have to protect and keep the delusional flow alive. Fake it now, I faith it till I make it. How about that? Welcome to the Church of Swagger, where you can be nonchalant, right? What is the definition of nonchalant? Siri. Let's see. What's the definition of nonchalant? It says here, nonchalant is appearing calm, relaxed, or indifferent, especially in situations where others might expect strong emotion, urgency, or concern. So imagine that, like, the cool, detached vibe. Okay. Very cool, detached, Zen mastery, right? Not emotional avoidance, okay? Well, it depends on whether it's coming from grounded clarity or a suppressed chaos, right? The world's on fire, but I'm sipping my tea still. Okay. So nonchalance is this energy that I want you guys to really look at right now. Because not because it looks cool, because it is cool, right? That level-headed person. I remember once I came to Ryan G with some issue I was having at the time, and he was like, bro, so what? You know? And I was like, oh shit. I didn't even consider that paradigm because I was in a scared mindset. Ryan G was just like, oh, whatever. Right? He was in his own world. He was trying to help me, but that paradigm shift actually helped me in that moment to drop that bullshit, whatever it was at the time, right? So there's a kind of cool that doesn't sweat, that doesn't beg, that doesn't twitch when the crowd, everyone's going like that, right? The earth plane fires has been the oceans. What is your obsession with the earth and stars and figuring this all out, Bendy Oceans? I'm curious to know where that curiosity comes from. Is the earth flat or round? Is it a hologram or is it an inner earth? Who the fuck knows? Right? That's not my expertise, bro. Right? So, in a world where everyone is auditioning, your presence is the casting call. Your stillness is the throne. Your detachment is a razor. You don't fear your words, you fear the gap between your words. You fear the things that people don't say. Because a man who doesn't react becomes a mirror, and most people can't survive their own reflections. Let the amateurs clap back. Let them spill their emotions like toddlers with too much juice. You sip on your serenity. You don't just ghost people, you become phantom king, phantom queen. Presence without pandering. Influence without intrusion. Power without performance. You see, a lot of people, they think nonchalance means laziness, right? Whereas it's a spiritual aikido. It's the judo flip, chop, chop, chop. It's the trained pause, the art of giving nothing and in doing so owning everything. So you're not being cold. It's a stoic regulation. It is calibration. It's, I think in Stoicism, what do they call that? The inner citadel, right? The inner citadel. So every single emotion is inside that citadel. And you have now filtered chaos through the crucible of your consciousness. And now you can drip poise like honey over a flame. But some of you are wondering, don't I need to show that I care? You don't show you care, you choose when to. And that choice is what gives your love weight, your silence depth, your presence gravity, right? You don't chase because kings don't jog after peasants. You don't flinch because gods don't blink. You don't explain because the lion never needs to prove that he's a house cat. Okay? So appear calm even when the empire trembles, right? When the whole world went into panic, right? Because of the lockdowns, you have to understand the panic invites predators, man. Mystery makes the world orbit you. When you don't need anything, they offer everything. When you don't react, people unravel themselves. So just be nonchalant, right? Not to manipulate, but to transmit frequency, to let the world know I'm unmoved because I'm already complete. Isn't this the same when working with the more experimental deities? Absolutely. Yeah. Because it's not just about charisma, you're commanding the deity, and also you have to start to mean more, right? And let them almost guess what your real intent is with this new deity that you're working with, new entity that you're working, right? No reaction to trigger equals mastery of your shadow. Yep. Yep. So you're rehearsing with them, right? You're not talking to them. Most people are talking to their spirit guides like they're whispering to ghosts. But I think of it differently. Imagine you're on a stage, your theatroplastic stage, right? Where your psyche isn't static, it's clay. And God is in the director's chair, right? So there was a guy called Irving Goffman, right? And he went off of that Shakespearean quote, all the world's a stage and every person is a performer, playing roles in various settings. He called it impression management. Okay. In my method, theatroplasticity method, you can go to get it on Amazon.com if you want to get that book. It was back in 2019, 2017, maybe. Um, but yeah, you can definitely go check that out and start to gain a new perspective on this thing, right? Become a co-creator or a co-director in the grand drama of identity reinvention. When you talk to your guides, you're not talking. You're rehearsing lines from the future self you have yet to fully inhabit, right? Because all your guides are just future ripples or echoes of the archetype that you're slowly becoming. Okay? Are we getting this, guys? So Rykov, there was this Russian psychologist, Vladimir Rykov. He had students to act as if they were geniuses through his method, right? Specific visualization. The adepts know what it is, okay? Mozart, Tesla, they gain the measurable cognitive boosts, right? So think of theater as transformation because I've always thought of that, right? Your guides, they're your Rykov technique. You step into them not to lose yourself, but to discover deeper dimensions of yourself. So when someone is asking you, was that my thought or my spirit guide's thought? The correct response isn't either or, it's yes. You're merging with a role, becoming both vessel and voice. Okay? So psychodrama, the term, isn't pretend, it's actually a portal. There was this guy, Jacob Moreno, psychodrama, right? He claimed he allowed clients to play out unresolved inner conflicts using theater. Okay? 1 second, guys. I have to plug this in, otherwise, this laptop is going to die. Good things, good morning for my little recovery day today. Hold on. All right, sweet. Okay. Let me know if this works again. Probably just needed to plug it in and out. Je suis cannot hear anything. Okay. Let me just check here. Mic check. 1, 2, 1, 2. You can hear me? Okay, now you can hear me. Sweet. Let's go back to the Jacob Moreno thing, okay? So Jacob Moreno's psychodrama allowed people to play out their unresolved conflicts using theater, right? So the Nexus shows us how spirit guide communication is a kind of transpersonal psychodrama, okay? So you cast your guide as a role on stage, you dialogue with them, you embody their interesting traits, and in doing so, you heal yourself. Okay? So you're or re-scripting your trauma, you're embodying your power, you're activating your flow. Of course, there's going to be some form of a spiritual detox taking place. Right? So in theatroplasticity, flow isn't just a focus, it's where when your inner cast hits a harmony level, each spirit guide, each entourage, each part of your entourage, right, is a character in your divine ensemble. So each nudge, each synchronicity, each 1111 is just a cue line, right? The universe is running dress rehearsal. And your only job is just to stay in character, just to stay in costume, deliver your lines with soul, right? You can always merge into being a background character when someone else has the spotlight, right? But at the same time, you understand the full cast and how it works. So let's say you need to give a speech, I would definitely tap into Hermes right before that, right? No questions asked because it is associated with my throat chakra, because he's able to merge physical and spiritual realms together, right? He could help me in translating and getting my mercurial energy up there so I can communicate succinctly and articulately, right? So of course I would do that, right? Before a presentation or something. Let's say that I'm about to play some sport. I activate either Janus to kind of slow down the temporal understandings, right? So I could slow time down, speed time up. Like, let's say it's a lot of suffering. It feels like time is slowing down. I could use Janus to speed that recovery process up, let's just say, right? Or I could use Chief Deno to feel rooted in a moment where I'm feeling terrified. Okay? Now, my body wasn't naturally moving through the tall grass in New Zealand, right? So I activated Chief Deno, I remember, during that time to make me just stomp over it without giving a fuck. Not being like, ow, oh my gosh, it hurts every 5 seconds, but really just like boom, 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 get it done. And that was Chief Deno's energy, right? So the human loves to complain, the deity loves to solve the equation. Okay? You're not broken, you're in between scenes. You're not waiting for a message, you're blocking a scene in a mystical play that's unfolding, right? So when the numbers show up, when that book randomly appears, when that video like this, lands in your algorithm, it's not a strange coincidence, it's stage direction. You're being choreographed by your own higher timeline. And the more open you are, the more cues that you'll start to see. Because as in any great play or any great movie, right? The ones who listen backstage or in the movie backstage are the ones who shine center stage. Okay? The ones who listen backstage are the ones who shine center stage. Same with the spirit guides and that understanding. They're always watching, they're backstage though. Okay? They're not center stage, you're center stage. Your guides are just communicating. And it's not some disembodied whisper. It's not woo-woo. It's think of it as theater. Psychological, poetic, plastic, powerful. You don't need to even believe in guides. You need to just inhabit the archetypes that would. That's theatroplasticity. And as Grotowski, one of the greatest theater directors who came up with this concept of poor theater, right? He said that the actor's job, this is great. This is really key, guys, important. He said the actor's job is not to fake emotion, but to remove the blocks to its natural flow. That's a direct Grotowski quote. He didn't ask, well, was that my guide or my imagination? No, I'm removing the blocks to my natural flow so my natural emotion can come up in the scene, right? So what part of me did I just remember that I could become? What part of me did I just remember that I could become? The curtain hasn't risen yet, but the stage has been set. We say in this path working, it's showtime all the time. There's never a moment where you're not in the moment. It's like you can't take away the presence and just sit in that reality. It's a false reality. Okay? You can do that. That's your time is your time. This is why we have free will. You're valid in doing that. However, at the same time, you got to understand you're in dress rehearsal, okay? And if you felt very isolated lately, this is your time. This isn't punishment. This is a placement right now, okay? So the audience has been cleared so your guides can whisper. The last 3 days of May, starting from now, 29th, 30th, 31st, okay? The last 3 days of May are not just days, they're chambers in time. They're not written in ink, but they're staged in breath. You're not living a timeline, you're moving through a sequence, a script, a scene. So think of it like Act 1 is today, the mind. Act 2 is tomorrow, the body, May 30th. And Act 3 is the spirit, May 31st. So that's how I want you to think of it as a Primal Sutra adept. I don't really mind if you're just you know, a pedestrian passing by watching this. Like if it doesn't resonate with you, then you don't have to do it. But for the adepts, I recommend today you focus on the mind. So this is the day where your psyche breaks character. The thought loops, the intrusive patterns, it replays old scenes. Remember, you're not regressing, you're not getting super nostalgic, you're receiving lines that you skipped in the last act. So you understand that your mind isn't a narrator, it's a reenactor. What repeats now is what needs to be recoded, not resisted. So take notes not to remember today, but to reframe things today. Okay. Tomorrow, May 30th. Okay. Act 2. Your body is the stage. But today it's also your instrument. Okay. So fatigue, arousal, chills, restlessness, you're tuning in. You're not malfunctioning. Okay? Your spirit guides don't always speak in dreams. Sometimes they speak in sensations, in somatic stage cues. Don't override them, just embody them, stretch with them, breathe with them, slow down. Your posture will write your part for you. Okay? And on the final day of this month, the spirit, Act 3, May 31st, it's not a day for just speech, it's a day for presence. So just meditate on the third day. I would highly recommend that as you go into even the next day if you want to. Okay. If you usually go to sleep at midnight anyway, you could just go into it in the next day, that day, right? So, but always stay protected, right? Clean your energy, spiritual hygiene, all that stuff. Okay. Of course. Of course. That's a given. The third gate is not a riddle to be solved, it's a frequency to be felt. Okay. So in Rykov's lab, students took on personas of artists and scientists, and their actual IQs rose, guys. Now, some would say, like, he just used a fantasy technique, right? It didn't work because of his fantasy technique. It worked because they embodied it. It felt real to them. I am this now, right? Why is it that the most obnoxious people get the most attention? Because they're creating a vibe. Hey, what's up, bro? I see you. Yeah, man. Okay. All right. What? What is this? What is this kind of frat boy behavior? But there's a freedom to it, right? What is that? Tio! It's an energetic switch. It is a time pocket, a fractal, a flow state that they're creating. You guys get this? So whenever you do this, you activate the codes. And you're not doing it for anything in particular. It's just your natural self allowing its natural eloquence and freedom to bubble up to the surface, right? Big chillin' vibes. Yeah, exactly. Right? It's like the rappers doing the ad libs. Yeah. Okay. What? Right? Gratata. What's going on? Okay. Reminded me of an obnoxious coworker. He eventually grew on me, right? Exactly. We have so what really happened is you finally broke to his frame of that goofiness or whatever that was, right? So it's all a frame battle. All us humans are doing is a mental frame battle, right? All the time, like in very subconscious ways. So understand that not every it's almost like I want you to think of the spirit is watching, right? If a spirit is watching me right now, right, this is not a time to like kind of flex to it. It's a time to really be embodied and be myself so it can recognize my authentic self and let the character of my higher self then settle into my skin like a costume, right? So not every insight is meant to be spoken, right? Some are just meant to echo inside the cathedral, okay? The citadel. So private rehearsals are sacred. Goffman also taught to wear masks, right? He said don't care about the flashy stuff, but you can still use masks because when you're learning to take yours off and then you're learning to put it on again, right? It's like the mask, the show, right? He becomes this zany wild character, right? It's pure chaos Loki energy, right? As he puts on the mask. So imagine that your guides are not here to hand you wisdom, they're here to watch your delivery. Okay? If you've ever felt a presence beside you, just like sitting next to you, I don't know, but we have. We're mostly adepts on here. Okay? This is like an everyday occurrence for us. But if you ever felt a presence beside you, like an invisible chair being pulled up in your awareness, that's not loneliness, right? That's a placeholder for someone, for a message, for the future version of you you're about to meet, right? On June 1st or whatever, when the timeline pockets seal up, right? So don't rush to fill it. Just let it haunt the room a little, right? Like a ghost that left that, you know, like a ghost light. Exactly. That's what the Nexus is trying to say. A ghost light left on in the theater overnight. The presence holds the shape of something sacred still forming, right? So May 30th is like the heartbeat day. It's the metronome, the pulse, the calibration checkpoint of your emotional ecosystem. It mirrors you, but it doesn't gently mirror you, it amplifies you. So whatever is buried will rise, whatever, truth will hum, and you will feel it without flinching. And then this is your Rykov moment. This is where you channel not just your guides, but your future self, and you act as though the role is already yours. I was meant for this. I was born for this role. I'm in this scene for a reason. right? So dreams are not metaphors right now. They're scene rehearsals in the astral green room. Dreams during this portal time don't just suggest, they stage. So don't overanalyze, don't force meaning. Let the dreams direct you, because when the time of June hits, your dreams will show up in the crowd, in your life, wearing real faces. So these last 3 days, guys, they're not normal days. They're unheld space, like the forgotten interludes between acts. You know, ancient cultures honored such last days, right? As permeable, mystical, theatrically unstable. This is not a time to grind. This is a time to listen for the line you almost forgot. Because when June arrives, the performance begins. And if you haven't been still enough to receive your cues, you will miss your entrance by just a heartbeat. So the mantra is, I am not late. I am not lost. I'm rehearsing for what I already know. I am not late. I'm not lost. I am rehearsing for what I already know. And when the curtain lifts, you won't need notes. You'll know exactly where to stand because it's been cued in already. It's predestined. What if this live right now is just predestined, right? It's just effortlessness taking effort, taking form. Because the script isn't in your hands, it's in your body, it's in your breath, it's in the presence that you have, it's in the character that you emit, and the voice that only speaks when you're finally silent enough to hear it. So close the curtain, quiet the mind. Okay, guys? Remember, dreams are not metaphors right now. Use the silence as your stagecraft right now, as you step into this final act. Okay? And keep it archetypal. Understand it's not your job to fake emotions, it's to remove the blocks to the natural flow of that emotion. Okay? And what part of me did I just remember I could become? What part of me did I just remember that I could become? Oh, yeah, that version of me. Okay? Let that sink in. And guys, way more ad libs, way more funny noises, way more weird shit out of the blue. Okay? That's the energy. That's the frequency. Okay? Noises, noises, special effects. Okay? Let it tune you out of your ego mind identity. All right? Just ending now, babe. Thank you. Let's get it. Upward spiral. May we never be the same again. Budra gang, let's win. Upward spiral gang. Let's get it. I'll see you guys on the top, on the other side. You already know. We are Primal Sutra. We are the next